Okay, we got David here. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:35. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Gatewood.
Here.
Councilmember Pulapati.
Here.
Councilmember Sander.
Here.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Here.
Mayor Terry.
Here. Looks like we have a quorum. With that, can I ask the city clerk to please read the TV announcement?
The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will air Thursday, February 10th at 9 a.m. and Sunday, February 13th at 9 a.m. A DVD copy can also be ordered from the City Clerk's Department, and a webcast of this meeting will also be available on the city's website within 48 hours of adjournment of this meeting.
Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to ask our city attorney if he could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And following that, I'd ask those at home and participating by Zoom to remain standing. And we will have an invocation by Sherry DeShong with the River City Christian Church.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do we have Sherry in the room?
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear you, Sherry. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Garrett. Hey, I'm glad I made it. Thank you. It's a privilege to pray for the council and especially on behalf of River City Christian and God. So here we are. Will you please bow your heads as we pray? Oh, wise and loving God, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here tonight for your many and abundant blessings. Bless our mayor, the various levels of city officials, and for all those in attendance at this assembled council this evening. Bless the agenda set before us tonight. For clarity on the issues, ears to listen well, and the wisdom needed for certain matters on behalf of all who live and work in and around our beloved city of Rancho Cordova. And so may this meeting tonight be productive and honoring to you, God. Amen.
Amen.
And thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you.
So with that, we're going to move on to presentations, and looks like we have a few here. So let's go ahead and start with Darcy to introduce a new employee.
Good evening, Mayor Terry, members of the council, Darcy Gillard with the Planning Department. This evening, I'm pleased to announce a new city employee, senior planner, Arlene Granadosen-Jones. She comes to us with over 16 years of experience in the public and private sector from the city of Pasadena. And with that, I will let her provide you some more information about herself.
Thanks so much, Darcy. Good evening, Mayor Terry and Vice Mayor Budge and council members. Like Darcy said, my name is Arlene Granadosen-Jones. I know that's a mouthful. I've been told that I have the longest email address of all the staff in Rancho Cordova. But I just want to express to you how excited I am about joining the city here and being part of this growing community. I'm originally from San Jose. I actually went to school in Stockton at University of Pacific. So after 16 years of being in Southern California, my family decided to relocate here in this area to be closer to our family. So I'm looking forward to contributing to the future progress of the city and really expanding my experience as a city planner here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I think on that email thing, you and Kim Duran Caragiorgio need to compare and actually figure out who has more letters. So she goes by Kimberly, maybe she has you beat. Yeah, but thank you and welcome. Darcy, that's your only one, right? Yeah. Right? Already out of the room. Okay. Next we'll have Brittany Marisco.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Brittany Mariscal. I'm the Code Enforcement Supervisor at Neighborhood Services, and I'm pleased to introduce today two of our recent hires. The first being Andrew Thomas. He is a backfilled position, and he joins us with experience in parking enforcement and code enforcement from the City of Sacramento. And he's currently assigned to the Parking Enforcement Program and Abandoned Statement Program.
Hi, good evening, council members. My name, like Brittany said, is Andrew Thomas. A little bit about myself. I came from the City of Sacramento. My first 3 years there, I was a parking enforcement officer. My last 2 years with parking, I did their citation contest. So anytime a citation was contested, I was kind of the first level of defense, looking over their evidence. My last 5 years with the city, I was a code enforcement officer, and I dealt with various of different code as far as weed abatement, business compliance, nuisance, abandoned vehicles. I think one thing for me that the city does offer at Rancho that I do want to learn is the building part of it, which I'm really looking forward. And I have to say, since I started January 10th, I mean, I feel very welcome from the day I walked in, and every day there's a reason, I find another reason why I'm happy I came here.
Great. Well, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Andrew.
That's cool. Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And the next person that we have to introduce,
Go ahead.
sorry, is
I
actually
was checking to see. Go ahead.
a returning employee, Heather Cook. She is a code enforcement officer with Neighborhood Services, and she comes to us back from the County of Sacramento. And I'll let her introduce herself.
Good evening. I'm Heather Cook. I previously was employed with the City of Rancho Cordova. I took a brief leave and decided to see what I could offer elsewhere, and decided I wanted to come back as fast as possible. I'm extremely happy and thankful to have the opportunity to come back and serve the community that I grew up in and currently reside as well. I'm super excited to be back and joining our team and being a team player.
Wonderful.
Welcome back.
That's great, Heather. Welcome back. I'm sure you can bring us lots of great stories about what it's like on the other side.
Absolutely.
And Brittany, do you have another one? Or is that it?
I believe I'm done. I don't know if...
Okay. So then I think we have Craig to make one more introduction, if I'm looking at this right. Right? Okay.
That Russ was supposed to make that?
My notes are saying Craig was going to do it. We just got him in the room.
He might be having technical difficulties, so I can go ahead and step in.
Okay.
I introduced Christy Acuna. She is an animal services officer that has joined us as a backfill position. She is doing a great job so far, and we're really excited to have her a part of the team. But for more information, Christy.
Hi, good evening, council members. I am Christy. I've been here since September, and it has been an incredible whirlwind of training and certifications. And most recently, I received my certification in my PC 832, which I'm incredibly happy about. I am not unfamiliar with animal handling. I've been an animal technician for over 14 years, and I grew up on a farm. So this felt like the next step into my career. And previous to this position, I was working at the VA in Portland with patients that suffered from mental illness and addiction, PTSD. And just those two trainings under my belt really helped me in this position, dealing with both the community and the animals. So I am just incredibly happy to be here. I have an incredible team, incredible support system here.
Great. Well, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
It sounds like we need to support one of those projects where we match animals with people suffering from PTSD.
Yes, that would be an incredible program.
Think about that.
Well, thank you, everybody, and welcome to all of our new team members. With that, we will move on to item 5.2, Sci-Fi Fiber Network Project Update, and we're going to have Dahlia for that. There she is. Is that just her headshot?
No.
Honestly, I thought.
Dahlia, you're on mute.
You didn't hear more than one.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I have to join from both my computer and my
Okay.
iPad to get this to work. So, hi, my name is Dahlia Fadel. I work for the Public Works Department, and I am here today to provide you with an update on the Sci-Fi project. And actually, Albert is gonna introduce the item, and then we'll kick it off from there. So, Albert.
Thanks very much, Dahlia, and good evening, Mayor Terry and members of the council. Albert Stricker with the Public Works Department, and we're really pleased to announce that Sci-Fi is on the verge of breaking ground on their citywide fiber optic network installation. And when Sci-Fi first approached the city of Rancho Cordova, they were looking for an agency that they could partner with that could move nimbly and was forward thinking. And they definitely found that in the city of Rancho Cordova, able to quickly get from the first idea to just on the eve of breaking ground here. And as we explored the idea with them, we found this was also a great opportunity to augment the city's already extensive smart city and intelligent transportation system infrastructure with new improvements citywide for our entire community. And I believe that with the completion of this project, with the kickoff of this project, it will really firmly plant the city as a technological leader in this region. And Dahlia and the Sci-Fi team are going to tell us more about the project.
Awesome, thank you, Albert. So I'll go ahead and pull up the slides. All right, so we're here to provide an update on the Sci-Fi project. As we mentioned, the goal of this presentation is to provide City Council with a current status of the project as well as seek feedback on next steps. An overview of what we're going to go over today is a little bit of background about the project itself, benefits from this project, as well as the collaboration effort that went into making it happen. And finally, we're going to turn it over to the Sci-Fi team to provide more details about the project logistics. So a little bit of background, the Sci-Fi project is a privately financed citywide fiber network system. It would provide infrastructure for a gigabit speed internet service throughout the city. To facilitate the timely construction of the system, as well as all the required pieces, Sci-Fi has requested that the city enter into a long-term master agreement. And that agreement was brought to council back in June of 2020 by Albert and was approved by City Council back then. Since that time, we have tried to kind of figure out the logistics of making this project happen. Why do we think this is a great project for the city? Because it will provide reliable internet service and help sustain and expand existing businesses, as well as attract new businesses to the city, which will in turn support economic development. The fiber network will also enable connectivity to every home and business in the city, and that should help close the digital divide. As you guys know, with the COVID pandemic, I think it highlighted the need for high-speed internet at every home and every business, especially with working from home and schooling from home. The fiber network will also allow multiple service providers to deliver internet services to the city, which will give consumers more choices and in turn create competition and lower rates. Finally, this will also, through a smart city agreement with Sci-Fi, this project will also provide faster and more reliable internet to city facilities. So who's going to be the service provider for us? Sci-Fi will build the network and lease it to Gigabit Now. That will be the service providers for the city of Rancho Cordova. Right here, I have a snippet from their website showing all the cities within California that are currently enrolled. And also, we think that list will be expanding. It's important to point out that Gigabit Now does have a program for low-income households. It would allow families to receive up to 1 gig of internet per month at a rate of around $30. So we think that's definitely something that will help out city residents within areas of disadvantaged communities. So a little bit of the collaboration that went into making this project happen. For the system network itself to work out, it requires the installation of 3 shelter units as well as 40 cabinets. These will be placed in a variety of locations, including park facilities, school facilities, city parcels, as well as 1 commercial property. To make that happen, it took a lot of collaboration between the city, the school district, as well as the park district, and the commercial property owners through our economic development team. We're also closely collaborating this project with our pavement projects to make sure that the fiber is installed ahead of any moratorium from our pavement projects. We think this really highlights a success story of multiple public agencies coming together to serve the community and make this project happen. Now I'm going to turn it over to the Sci-Fi team to provide a little bit more information about the project and the installation. So Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dahlia. Appreciate the introduction. And you know, I'll try to be brief in my presentation here, but what we wanted to do is just refamiliarize everybody here with the process of what it takes to become a fiber city. You know, we think it's an industry-leading technique, and we use the latest in technology. And, you know, our hopes is to create as little disruption within your city streets as possible. So we thought we would share a bit of the process with everyone. And obviously, if questions that come up later, you know, we could feel free to send those our way and we'd be happy to answer them. The picture on the left is sort of what it looks like once it's been fully reinstated. But the picture right in the middle shows exactly how small that micro trench line is. We typically, when we micro trench, dig about 12 inches deep, and it's about 1 to 1.5 inches wide, on average about 1.25 inches wide. So that saw cuts just a very small micro trench right down the side of the gutter pan there at the edge of the asphalt. And that micro trenching, as I mentioned, it really minimizes the impact to the roadways and also the traffic. And it also, you know, it creates efficiencies in the street restoration because the line is so narrow. Next slide, please. This is what a typical crew looks like. And so we thought we'd share this picture. Just, you know, people might see this in their neighborhoods in the coming weeks or as soon as next month. And these crews are working basically to backfill that micro trench. And once we backfill that micro trench, we put a nice sealer right on the top, and it creates a clean and smooth road surface. You know, we estimate that it takes about 2 years to build a fiber city, give or take a year, okay? Next slide, please. Thought I'd share kind of what our underground vaults look like. That's sort of the center picture there. And then people always want to know, how do we get from the vault to their actual house? So if somebody orders service, what we do is we just create what we call a lateral that basically goes under the gutter pan. And this is, I'm speaking to the picture on the left here, under the gutter pan and then through the softscape. And our crews will basically leave that at the edge of the public right-of-way and the private property line. And then if the customer ever decides that they want to take fiber service, you know, we just pick it up from that point and we carry it either through the softscape or some other method to their house. And so the process is very simple. And that's one of the very unique things about becoming a fiber city, is that when you become a fiber city, we create a passing by every home, by every multifamily property, by every commercial property, and we really close that last mile fiber distance. And we do it in a method that's efficient, and it makes it easy for customers to take service. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to recap the benefits of micro trenching. You know, it's minimally invasive in the roadways. We think that's really important for the public to hear. You know, when we're doing that precision cutting in the asphalt and concrete, customers can come and go. You know, residents can come and go from their houses, from their businesses. You know, that micro trench line by nature is easy for somebody to drive over. You know, we always estimate the longest somebody might be impacted is 5 to 10 minutes at most. And in most cases, we can either move the equipment and get somebody right in or out of their place of business or their home. It's also very fast and efficient. It creates minimal dust. And with the one-lane closure, it allows for traffic to kind of progress through the city at all times. So there's very, very minimal disruption as we kind of proceed with this project. Next slide, please. This is one of the things I think that we really take a lot of pride in, and it's something that I think makes us very different, and that's how we communicate with the community. We spend a lot of time educating the community about what we're doing and why we're doing it and why it's so important for Rancho Cordova to become a fiber city. And we kind of start with this door hanger that tells them about the project, tells them that we're going to be coming through their neighborhood, tells them who's going to be working there, and a little bit about the ISP. We also spend time in the neighborhoods in which we're working. We pass out that flyer, the one that's sort of in the center, the leaflet, as well as our teams are sort of geared up around handing out these cards. If anybody approaches a construction team member, oftentimes we'll hand them a card just like is shown at the bottom on this contact card, and it provides every resident direct access, you know, either to myself or to my team. We have local resources that are going to be on the ground in and around the construction site. Even if they see somebody walk up and take a look at the construction site, you know, they'll go over there and approach them and hopefully answer all of their questions. One of the primary benefits of that is it drives a lot less calls into City Hall. And we know that's a huge benefit because residents get their questions answered while they're there. We also have other dedicated staff, a city project manager that manages the project all the way through. I mentioned the community relations specialist. We put somebody in charge of all of our private property contacts for multifamily properties, MDUs, HOAs, any commercial complexes, you know, that require private property access rights. And then we have a dedicated marketing team that monitors all of our social, does all the promotion around the actual project itself, is very responsive to residents that are out there that might be asking questions. And then they obviously liaise with our home office where we have a dedicated marketing team to sort of fulfilling these communication strategies in the market. Next slide, please. And, you know, we just want to reiterate that, you know, we think it's something very special to become a fiber city. And we're so thankful to have the city of Rancho Cordova to work with us on this project. You know, we think our investment of about $65 million in the city of Rancho Cordova, it's significant. And, you know, just like Albert said at the beginning, you know, we think that it will position the city to have all the future technology growth that the city desires. It'll attract businesses, it'll retain residents, it'll be a game changer for the community. And we truly believe in that message. We really believe in what we're doing in building these fiber networks. We know that it will support the economic development goals of the city. We know that it'll close the digital divide, not only by offering that low rate that Dahlia talked about, but by introducing another ISP that creates competition and gives more choices to the residents. And more choice in the market is almost always a good thing. And that translates to lower rates. And so, you know, we're so thankful to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And if there are any questions after the presentation, I'm happy to field those, even through email later on. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. With that, we're going to open it up for any questions or discussion items.
Let's first, do we have any public comment on this item by chance, Stacy? Stacy, if you're talking, you're on mute.
I'm looking for hands that are raised. I don't see any hands that are raised, and we don't have any public comment on this item.
Council, any questions for staff?
Yes, please, Donald.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm the one, of the five of us, I'm the one who's not technically proficient. So I'm going to come at this from the homeowner perspective. So we use a lot of, not negatively, but we use a lot of jargon to talk about what we're talking about. So in this region, there is a move to expand broadband. So when you talk about providing gigabytes to everybody, is this really an opportunity for the city to ensure that all neighborhoods have access to broadband?
Talia, can I answer that one?
Yes, please.
Yeah, when I mentioned that it's a very special thing to become a fiber city, it's really important to understand that when you become a fiber city, we create a passing by each and every resident that's within a city street. We also create a passing by every multifamily property or HOA, and even though those are private properties, we approach them. We talk to them about the fact that Rancho Cordova is becoming a fiber city, and we offer to build our fiber into their private properties. So we literally are closing that last mile distance in every possible way we can. And we are literally putting that fiber at the curb. And fiber really is the future. I mean, it's significantly better, more efficient than the existing incumbent networks that are out there. And we know that this is going to be a network that's going to carry the city for the decades to come. So it really is going to be something special for every resident that takes advantage of it.
And I totally agree with what you just said, because we have, we have telecommunications hanging out on Folsom Boulevard and very large cables that are totally unsightly. So you're right, fiber that goes by everybody's house is important, and not every, actually at this point, except for perhaps one neighborhood, none of the HOAs operate in an area that is gated. So you don't need the HOA permission because you're going down public streets. So, so basically, once you get this installed, all a person has to do is tell you that they want you to provide service, and if they're in the right income qualification bracket, then they pay the $30.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some work to do between the city to define, how many residents are how many residents will qualify for that $30 rate. Not every resident qualifies, but those that need that assistance, we work together with the city to define that list, and we'll make that low rate available to them. Obviously that's a smaller portion of the population, but for the rest of the population that wants to take advantage of it, they simply can, log into the ISP webpage for Gigabit Now, Rancho Cordova, and they can literally place a pre-order as soon as their site goes live, and that'll happen in the coming months. And so we'll be putting out notification as to when that happens.
Sure, I understand that, actually.
Yep.
Over 30 years ago, I worked for the company that ultimately was providing cable service to Sacramento County. So I think my last question, living in a new neighborhood, as opposed to our neighborhoods that were built in the 60s and 70s, there was a point where one of the large companies came through and installed cable TV capability in the neighborhood. And so the first thing that happened was all these salespeople descended on the neighborhood and were knocking on doors saying, so-and-so and so-and-so is here now, and you need to sign up. So how do you go about that? Do you send out armies? I'm sorry.
do you send out armies of salespeople, or do you rely on people to call you and tell you they want to be served?
Yeah, well, just keep in mind that, we at Sci-Fi Networks, we're not the ISP, right? So Gigabit Now is the ISP, and they'll rely, on a set of traditional marketing tactics. There may be some minimal efforts around door to door, but, we actually connect with the public, I think, in a very different way. Of course, we use, all the current, social media platforms, and, we do advertising, we do, general advertising and that sort of thing. But we also connect with the public in and around our job sites. And so, we run a weekly event, normally within the city. We do something special, and we invite them out, and usually our ISPs will attend that weekly event, and they can ask all the questions of us or the ISP or about the construction process, and hopefully get all of their questions answered, and then hopefully sign up. And, it doesn't take a lot to sign up. They can simply visit the webpage, or they can, take a sign up on site. And so there'll be lots of details about these marketing efforts that'll be forthcoming. But we do connect with the public in a slightly different way. We're in and around these sites while they're in the neighborhood, and we're talking to people all the time about the project.
Okay.
Yes, and
Yes, Dahlia, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may add also, like the door hangers that will be distributed in the neighborhoods where the work is happening does include information about signing up for service with Gigabit Now and instructions and web link for how to do that. And we actually just approved the first encroachment permit for the RCO2 neighborhood, which will be the first neighborhood where the fiber installation will be happening. And those door hangers include that information as well. So it's going to be a combination of that, plus, as Jeff mentioned, there will be a dedicated website that's for Rancho Cordova Fiber City that will be run by the Sci-Fi marketing team. That would include project updates for everything that's happening with the project within Rancho Cordova, as well as social media updates. So there's really going to be a combination of tools, plus, of course, the community presence that they will have in every neighborhood.
Yeah.
So Dahlia, a couple of questions for you then. So basically, given as you said early on, the work from home, the school from home process. So basically, assuming people have the appropriate equipment, this will facilitate their doing that.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is if somebody signs up for service with Gigabit Now, Sci-Fi will be kind of the boots on the ground that makes that last connection happen. So the fiber network project will install the fiber, and then once people decide that they want the service, Sci-Fi will send the team out to make that last bit of connection between the right-of-way and the actual home or property wall and modems and that sort of a thing. And then that's how will enroll. So that piece of it will come in as residents enroll in the service, but the fiber itself will be putting citywide up.
If I could add on to that, please. The gigabit level of service actually significantly exceeds the federal government's definition of broadband. So as communication becomes more and more data intensive, this level of service does set up Rancho Cordova for the future.
Talk about being a smart city.
Hang on, guys.
Yeah.
One at a time.
That sounds really great. And so
Linda,
then
hang on for 1 sec.
No, that sounds really great, Albert.
No,
so,
Linda, I wasn't finished. Hang on. So
Donald, I was the one talking.
I understand, but I'm going to remind everybody.
Well, I'm not through.
Just hang on a second. So a couple of things.
No.
First, please, can we not have people talking over each other? Second,
that would be you.
This is a presentation, and we have a lot of other things on the agenda. So if we could wrap up questions so that other council members have a chance. Go ahead, Linda.
You're right. Okay. And so, Albert and Dahlia, I appreciate the fact of where they're doing this at the lip of the gutter, which is a lot less invasive than like the water trenching. And so, so it sounds like then that they will rely on the ISP, the gigabit people, to to sell them on whether or not this service, as opposed to their existing service, is the best. Right.
Yeah, so-
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Jeff is nodding. Okay, Donald, now I am finished. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions for staff?
I've got one clarification based
Go
on.
ahead, David.
So I saw the little box there that I think you said was going to be in the front yard, Jeff. And I'm not sure, is that on the front yard as you're building it, or is that in the front yard after someone has requested a connection?
Yeah, sorry, that box actually is just intermittently placed. It's not in front of every home. We have one of those, what we call an underground vault. It sits kind of flush mounted to the grass, just periodically throughout the neighborhood. We try to always put those in the common areas. We don't try to put those in somebody's, a resident's front yard or something like that. But those are just periodic, I'd say, every 20 to 40 homes, somewhere around there, depending on how it's strategically placed.
Okay.
There's no power in that vault. It's just simply a splice chamber. That's all it is.
Yeah, you're right. There is some sensitivity out there to these utility full towers that the cable company thinks everybody has to have, and then the phone company thinks they have to have one.
Yeah.
And water has to have theirs, and SMUD needs something, and it's pretty soon you're just like littered with all these little things.
Yeah.
Every 20 to 40 houses, that's not too onerous.
Yep. Thank you.
Now, if someone is going to be connected, are they connected at that point, or do you make additional connections?
So the picture on the left, we actually have a drop. We basically leave a little tiny piece of microduct buried under the ground at the back edge of the sidewalk, essentially. So at the edge of the public right-of-way and the private property. And then if they ever decide that they want to take service, we come out, we meet with the homeowner, we pick up that drop basically from the edge of the public right-of-way, and we work with the homeowner to connect it to the house over their private property. Once they've decided on the pathway, we go back to this little chamber, which is somewhere down the street, and we actually blow that fiber using compressed air over to the person's house, and we carry that fiber connection. Because remember, this is fiber all the way to the home. We carry that fiber connection all the way to their house and connect that into the house. So that's how the process works, and we keep it very simple. We make every home fiber capable, and then if they ever order service, it's literally right there, hopefully in their front yard.
Well, that is very cool. What do you do when the sidewalk is merged with the curb? Where do you leave your stub?
We can also leave it directly under the back of the sidewalk. So if there's no green space like that, we can just literally go underneath and we can leave it at the back of that sidewalk.
So you basically, in that case, would be at every house pulling a fiber to the far side of the sidewalk, the front yard side of the sidewalk.
Yep.
And leaving a stub there.
Yep. And we mark it. We GPS mark it. We mark it through our quality control process. And then, we have a process to go back out there and uncover it and then bring it back to the house.
And you don't have to cut the sidewalk to do that?
I will say in most instances, no, but you never know. I mean,
Okay,
we need to leave ourselves some ability to get into the sidewalk if it's required. But if we do, we obviously meet the city standards, either replacing that panel or doing it in a joint where it makes sense to do it.
When you find that 2 foot thick sidewalk, what are you going to do, right?
No, well, we got to do what we have to do. And we have replaced a few sidewalks here and there.
All right, this is a marvelous thing for our city, so I'm really excited about it. I assume you're going to seek out some community partnerships probably to get the word out about it.
Oh yeah, we are very active in the community. You'll see myself, you'll see my team. We'll be out there. We'll be very involved in the community, the chambers of commerce, obviously city events and such, and then partnering with our ISP anytime they need our support out at an event. And they do lots of events within the city to get the word out. And so you'll see us at their events as well.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor, I had a question.
Really, hang on, Siri. Gary, I believe you were trying to say something earlier.
Yeah, I was next. I'll make it really quick. I know we got a lot of items. I'm very excited about this. Being one of the two techies, the next nerd is about to talk. But what this does is layer us to be set to be a smart city. And so for everyone that doesn't know, because the definition is super ambiguous, but basically allows you to, from one location, adjust traffic patterns or better properly put buildings in places, because now the city has real-time information being able to carry. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is with micro towers, 5G, and having a fiber city lit up. It's like us turning into San Jose overnight. So very excited, super excited about it. Great to have you guys. Welcome to the team.
Thank you, Garrett. Go ahead.
Sorry if I can jump, I just wanted to add to that to say, in addition to the master city agreement that was negotiated with Sci-Fi, there is an accompanying smart city agreement where we are trying to figure out some of those details, how to best utilize this fiber network to make the city a smart city and how to get better service to our facilities as well as other open space areas and park facilities and things like that. So.
Yeah, when we set that, I'm sorry, it's real quick. When we get that ready, I'd love to sit on a commission with me and probably the other nerd series and talk about like how we can help to help the city. That's a 2x2 that I would love to be part of. All right.
Sure, absolutely.
Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Thank you. Following on what Garrett said, right? We're really waiting for this super fast internet. Fiber optic networks is the next best thing. My question was, do we have to wait until the whole city is a fiber city before service starts, or does the service start like after a neighborhood is done?
So I think the answer is probably a little bit more detailed than I can give. We've got some of our project manager folks online, but we have to have our huts constructed first, and then we've got to have some cabinets placed. So you have to have some portion of the network built so that you have that resiliency and that redundancy in that. And we can obviously provide through our city project management group a more detailed schedule of when we anticipate that to go live.
Yeah, that would be great. So we'd know it's a year out or 2 years out for the first to start.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that far out, but we'll definitely get the information into your hands.
I actually have that info. It's supposed to be about 6 to 7 months from now is when the go live will be done in phases, and we anticipate the first phase to go live in about 6 to 7 months.
Perfect. A month. You mean
months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Way less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 50 times faster than the regular internet. It has to move at super speed, right?
It does. It is amazing.
Yeah. I would only add, I'm really excited about this project, and having lived in the communities that don't have internet or broadband even running into their neighborhoods, that every time they've spliced off of the same line, they're just weakening the network. And knowing communities like Lincoln Village, Sun River actually did have a lot of their utilities undergrounded, but in Lincoln Village, the connection was just terrible. And so I think we've learned a huge lesson about the lack of connectivity that we have in our older communities through the last couple of years of this pandemic and distance learning, and the fact that there are a lot of families that just couldn't do it. And this idea of just go work from home and your kids can do school from home and everybody can be on Zoom, that's just not a reality. And the number of families that we knew that were resorting to sitting outside of Starbucks is real. And so I think this, I think my colleagues talked about a lot of other parts of this too, but just the ability of our students and our families to be able to connect in ways that they need to, even for school. I know my son every day, and he's back at public school in person, and he's still having to record a video and upload it to his teacher every night with his homework. I don't think that even probably a majority of our students in the city can do that right now. That's just an estimate, but I'm venturing to guess that most parts of this community, to upload that video would take 10 or 15 minutes at best. So I'm really excited for this. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a very quick comment?
Sure.
I wanted to acknowledge that we are probably one of the only few cities in Northern California that have entered into this partnership. So I wanted to thank Sci-Fi for their partnership and thank our staff, Dolly and Albert, for taking this on. This will truly would put us on the map with respect to the smart city and having broadband available to every resident and business throughout the city. So congratulations, team, and thank you for the job well done.
Thank you, Cyrus. Yeah, thank you to everybody involved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't think we really need to do 5.3, do we? Just remind everybody that I'm still the youngest council member.
Happy birthday.
We don't need to do that, right? Okay.
All right, so time to sing. All right, everyone unmute their mic. This is going to be a rough one because we're back all being at home. Hopefully, mask mandate goes away and we all see each other again. All right. Go ahead and mute if you can't sing well so we don't have to see your face, but we can still hear your voice. Nice, Siri. All right, here we go. And a 1, and a 2, and a happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Donald.
Donald Terry.
Happy birthday to
you.
That was performed at the speed of a dirge.
So painful. My kid fell down listening to it.
That was mournful.
But yes, I'm sitting here making jokes and I'm on mute. I'm saying it sounds like the staff are really trying there, and a couple of you too. And then Garen, if you other were trying your worst. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So with that, we will move into public comments. Citizens wishing to address the council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time via teleconference. If you want to make a public comment via teleconference, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom center of the screen. If you're participating by telephone and you want to make a public comment, please press *9 to raise your hand. For those participating by Zoom or telephone, please wait to be called upon by the city clerk. For items on the agenda, speakers will be called by the mayor at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers are encouraged to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less and state the name and community of residence. Under the provisions of the California Government Code, the City Council is prohibited from discussing or taking immediate action on any item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of an emergency nature or the need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Again, I want to remind folks that if you are here to comment on something that is on the agenda, this is not the time to raise your hand. Okay. So with that, do we have any public comment?
Yes. The city clerk's office did receive one public comment via email. That was from Gary Brewer. That has been distributed to the city council and is available on the city's website. Next, I'd like to go to Zoom and the telephone. So we have one hand that is currently raised, and that is with Ed Hughes. Ed, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn. I am
What do you want to speak about?
I am speaking about the fee for the compost.
Yeah, we'll be covering that later. This is not the time for that comment.
Okay, I will save my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Mayor Terry, that's all the public comment that we have.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, we'll move on to city council reports, and we will start with Councilmember Gatewood. Go ahead, Garrett.
All right. All right, pulling up my notes. So first off, happy Black History Month to all my amazing African-American leaders, fathers, mothers, and kids. It's an amazing time to go through Black history. Lucky the city is doing something that's just really neat, which is, I mean, not only we do lots of stuff with helping out the African-American community, but this one at the MAC, they're having this cool showing. If you wanted to see some of the original freedom fighters, I took my son there. You also want to meet a Black upcoming artist. They're amazing. Because it's Black History Month, I'd just like to first start off by thanking the two patriarchs of the family. First, my grandfather, one of the first Tuskegee Airmen. He had to fight not only racism, but a lot of inequities to get my family through. He had a huge family. And while he was off fighting, grandma had to stay at home. And because not a lot of African-American women could get jobs, grandma had to play at a bar. So she became a pianist and would play all night long while my dad would sleep in the car and would work at bars, and that's how they made their ends meet. And then grandpa would come back and we were put into rougher neighborhoods. But through it all, my family was always taught, one, the family motto, which is never to give up, and two was education is the way out of poverty. And that was just drilled into our heads. And so every one of the families every one of my grandfather's sons and daughters are all college educated. And most of them are all Air Force because that is, as Grandpa would put it, the best armed services. And he was crushed when he found out his grandson wasn't going to be an Air Forceman. But I am not 5'2" and do not fit well in a jet. So even though he was, by the end of his days, shooting down Hitler, I cannot fit in one of those planes, but I could have done a cargo plane. I also want to say thank you to my dad. He was staff sergeant. He was also the first Black teacher at the San Juan Schools District. Fun story, my father was out of work, and I think his name is General Davies, who was the superintendent at the San Juan Unified, called my dad and said, which is funny, it's crazy, we have a bunch of African-American kids in a room and none of the teachers can control them. And so my dad, who was out of work and starving, was offered the job. So he showed up there, and I think he had bell-bottom pants in, one of those really crazy, shirts that David and Linda used to rock, was all colorful, and a whistle. And basically walked in the room, slammed his bag down, said, "Sit down and shut up." That was a lot more PC back then, to say words like that. And started teaching these kids. And all of a sudden, because they had a stronger role model in that room, they obeyed. I think he did 32 years teaching and coaching, and my mom is 40 years at Rio Americano. So just, those are my two Black role models. I was blessed to have two men that stayed married and were in my life the whole time, that raised me into the man I am today. Also, since it's Black History Month, I wanted to thank all my citizens and my council members, and especially Donald Terry, who helped me to become one of the first Black council members of the city of Rancho Cordova, and of course, the first Black mayor of the city of Rancho Cordova. So Donald, this is all your fault. Remember that. Secondly, I had a ton of meetings. So I am now the chair of the Sacramento Library Commission. So I'm trying to tutelage underneath Linda, and hopefully my whole goal, really, I don't think I can get it done in a year, but is to bring a library actually into the city of Rancho Cordova. There's a lot of funds, and they actually want to take advantage of them due to COVID, and there's money to build. So hopefully with the schools going up, that we can come up with some kind of program to take the $10 million of spare money that's out there and put it toward a library in our city. And not just a library, more like the library makerspace ones that I've seen, that are the cool looking ones that integrate not just books, but books, electronics, education, and kind of all in one, making it really a townhome area. And also I think I might be the first Black chair of the Sacramento Library Commission, per what Linda said, so awesome there. I'm also made the chair of the South Sacramento Conservancy Agency Joint Power Authorities. Had nothing to do with this group. I am totally opposed or got on at the end, but I will take it as being the first Black chair of the South Sacramento Conservancy Joint Powers Authority. Woo! So much time. And then lastly, I would like to thank KCRA for doing a expose on me as being the first Black mayor, being elected, and all the cool things. I hope I spotlighted our city. I feel honored and kind of blessed that someone that in their 40s was able to get on TV for this. I really feel it's like something you should give someone in their 60s and 70s, not someone that's just starting out. So thank you, KCRA. I think it was showing today. It's on the web, and it's now spidering through the network, and it's weird to Google your name and have your name come up everywhere. It was on Yahoo, and I was like, what am I doing there? So thank you to that. Thank you to all my my staff, because really the best part about being a council member is you just set policy, and without amazing staff people like Cyrus and Stacy and all the staff underneath, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And thank you for being there to make sure I don't say anything bad to embarrass the city. So at that, I would just like to say thank you. Hope everyone has an amazing Black History Month, and I'll have some more exciting news at our next meeting.
Thanks, Sheriff. Siri, you're up.
Right. So, well, happy Black History Month. Councilmember Gatewood, and to all the residents that do celebrate this. I'd also like to wish all the residents that celebrate the Lunar New Year a very happy Lunar New Year. This happens towards the end of Feb 1st. It was Lunar New Year, and this is the year of the tiger. The tiger actually symbolizes strength, vigor. It also does wisdom and courage. And these are qualities that we need to march forward, especially now with COVID-19 pandemic being in its third year. So we really need the qualities of the tiger to move forward. I know a lot of places had celebrations. Maybe Rancho can have one in the years coming forward so we can see the wonderful dragon dances that they do. The other thing that I did, I had a conversation on the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. So there was a certain grant that was being that was open late last week that we could apply for if to talk about how the women were being affected because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, and how there were services that we can probably apply for them to help come out of recession. We actually have a lot of work to do on this. So we are collaborating with the Women's Commission that's already started in Sacramento County. And so as a first step, we started some initial meetings just to see how we can get involved in that and bring that chapter or get more involved in the Women's Commission of Sacramento and bring it to Rancho Cordova. So those were some discussions that we kicked off last week, and we'll come to the council more on having a further discussion on brainstorming on what more we could do with that. I don't want to, so I also attended the candlelight vigil for Elk Grove police officer Ty Lanahan, who died on his way to his work. A very tragic news that, I mean, the last time I attended this, I was telling Garrett, Councilmember Garrett, that I don't want to ever go to one again, and having to go to another one in such a short span of time was pretty sad for me, and especially within 2 days of that, we hear another news about the firefighter in Stockton. So, the city manager, if we could today, when we end, if we could close in their honor, that would be great. That's my report. Mayor?
Offline.
Donald, are you there?
Yeah, but I'm muted. So, David, you're next. Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for those updates. I had the great pleasure of participating in a crab feed this past weekend at the Grange. An actual social engagement occurred, and it was frankly very nice to get back to it, and very nice to just feel the edge of normalcy sort of return and in a fundraising venue. So congratulations to them. If you have not been to the Grange recently for some sort of an event, council members, you should see how well our Measure H dollars look on that facility. They have, of course, it's, I think, Rancho Cordova's oldest building. Linda will correct me if I'm wrong there. If not, it's certainly one of the two oldest. But they have redone all the windows, redone the floors. They've added fire safety equipment in the building, and updated the kitchen, and outdoors is now a beautiful event facility in the backyard. It is really stunning. So if you're looking for a place to hold an event in a historic structure, it's got some real character, and want a beautiful outdoor space, the Grange is definitely the organization to go to. And of course, they've been here. I think they're Rancho Cordova's oldest organization. They've been here for quite an enormous number of years. There was a track meet that we hosted, a mini track meet, a throws track meet, actually, where you're just throwing things, javelin, hammer, discus, and shot at Cordova a couple of weeks ago. But it was actually ancillary to a training for the USA Track and Field Organization's officials. So we hosted the Pacific Association officials training at Cordova, where they learn how to check implements and make sure they're all legal and legitimate. And they also then, we ran a mini track meet using our track club kids for the benefit of the officials so they could practice running the various throws event. The beauty of this is that it uses our new facilities that we helped pay for last year. It puts us on the map in terms of track and field, and it gives all those people who were here, including the trainers, influential people within USA Track and Field, a view of Rancho Cordova as being very cooperative and friendly and having a great venue for track and field events. So I know we probably scored a few hotel rooms out of that. Again, it wasn't a giant event, but it sets groundwork for a series of great future events in Rancho Cordova. So I really appreciate the cooperation with the school district, the athletic director, Mark Beamish at Cordova High, Peter Maroon at the school district for making those sorts of events work. We made a lot of progress working with our school district and hosting these kind of events that benefit our kids in the end. And I look forward to many more like that. So that was a nice success. Last week, I was elected vice chair of the Regional Sanitation District for the county. I've served on that board now for just over a year, I guess, representing Rancho Cordova. And next year, I will be chair of that body. It was sort of a surprise to me, but it was Rancho Cordova's turn. So I will be serving out that role. The good news is I feel like I have a real mission with that agency. That agency is one of the many utilities who by their action can stymie new development in older, already developed areas. So infill areas or old commercial corridors. And so I've got a mission there, like our Folsom Boulevard, to be sure that those sorts of institutions, those infrastructure monopolies, basically, that are providing good service to our residents aren't also getting in the way of reinvesting in those old communities. So I look forward to spearheading some progress on that front that'll hopefully help the entire region, not just Rancho Cordova. The Community Council Board met last week, and I served there. You will be amazed at how much stuff is happening within the Cordova Community Council. I think people are feeling the edge of this COVID pandemic. Scientifically, I can tell you, I can also feel it. It's just right there. We're right at the edge of it, turning this pandemic into an endemic, which just means it's a disease that functions is at a lower level that we kind of survive with, like the old common cold or influenza, something like that. But you can just sort of feel it. I think in the youth organizations and the sports organizations and the community organizations, there's going to be, I think, just an explosion of civic activity. And I am really, really looking forward to that because it has been so held down for so long. The Community Council is going to have many, many great things happening this year. Just stay tuned. You'll hear more. Rancho Cordova Athletic Association, similarly, we have some really great recruitment years going on with Little League and girls softball. That organization is doing really well, and there's a brand new website just about to come out, which is really pretty exciting and beautiful to look at. So stay tuned for that. I participated in there's been a series of meetings going on about trails in the American River Parkway. Some of them, like the bikeway, the multi-user trail, have been well maintained over the years, but many others that are hiking trails, walking trails, horse trails have not been particularly well maintained. And we suffer from that in Rancho Cordova in the heavy use of the parkway that forces people, or by choice, they're avoiding crowds on the main trail, so they seek alternative routes, and some of those are in terrible shape. So there's been a partnership arrangement with County Parks, City of Rancho Cordova, and some community activists, and some parkway advocates trying to find a way to better improve those. And we've made, I think, great progress. At some point, I think a plan will come before the City Council for our endorsement. But it's really exciting to see how much technology is being applied to this. All of them now have been mapped. All of them have video records. So if someone's worried about, oh, are you creating a new trail or doing something like that, you can actually see a full video run through of what its current condition is. And largely these improvements are things like removing dead trees that have fallen across these trails, or reducing the amount of cobble that is there, reducing trip hazards, maybe adding DG on one of the old access roads, things like that is what will be done. But it is a very exciting project. And Donald, you will likely be hearing about that in your role on the Parkway Commission. And then
the Lower American River Conservancy.
Yes, that's the one. I cannot ever remember that name. Lower American River Conservancy. There we go. And let's see, I've got some NLC responsibilities this week that are going to take me to DC this Wednesday to Saturday. I will be back Saturday evening. But that is my update. Thank you.
Travel safe. Linda.
Take your snow boots, David. We want to congratulate Garrett, obviously, on his roles at the library and at the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan. The Habitat Conservation Plan is something that's been in the works for over 20 years, and it is currently providing a way for our home builders to continue to build while dedicating open space for habitat conservation. Since Rancho Cordova, and this was the month that they presented their annual report, and given that Rancho Cordova seems to own 50% at least of all of the world-class wetlands and vernal pools, obviously the annual report was full of activities in Rancho Cordova. Regional Transit met, not the full Regional Transit Board, but a committee to discuss the composition of the RT Board and its voting membership. And David, Cyrus and I have agreed that this is very similar to the allocation study that was conducted when you were the chair of the RT Board. And the issue is simply to make sure that all of the participating jurisdictions have some degree of representation that puts them on equal footing with the rest of the jurisdictions. LAFCO met. This LAFCO was really quite interesting. I reported to our senior management that it discussed the municipal service reviews. LAFCO is one of those obscure California commissions, the Local Agency Formation Commission, that discusses incorporations, dissolutions, annexations, and of course we had to be approved there at LAFCO before we could get to the ballot. And so this whole discussion of it's really sort of a reorganization under the new executive director who came to LAFCO from El Dorado County. It is truly the first time in the history of the Sacramento LAFCO that the executive director or the executive officer has not been a county or a city employee, city of Sacramento or county of Sacramento employee. So he has a different way of doing things and looking at things and approaching things, and we're very supportive of that. Shelley Blanchard and I have been supporting one of the grants that we gave to a movie-making organization to do a video about the history of Rancho Cordova. And we both got interviewed this past week related to that. They've done a huge amount of research and been out to interview a variety of people in Rancho Cordova who have lived here for a very long time. So it's been a very exciting process to participate in. And then finally, we just want to remind everybody that our community enhancement and investment fund grants are open now. And so people such as this filmmaker who has gotten a grant, or anybody else who has a really important idea that would benefit the city of Rancho Cordova, needs to go to the city website and think about applying. My report.
Thank you, Linda. I too would like to congratulate Garrett on his many accomplishments, and to recognize also all of our residents here for Black History Month. A couple of things that I've been working, or that I worked on in the last week or so, do the Read Across America, or Read Across America was this week, and I don't know if anybody else was asked to record reading a book, but I went over to the Children's Museum and was recorded reading Green Eggs and Ham that is going to be shared with schools in the city. That was a lot of fun to do, and really hoping, like David just shared, that hopefully we get back to some more in-person opportunities to do things like that, because I will say that's probably one of my highlights of the year, is being able to visit some of our schools and see our students and get to read to them. And that also coincides with Dr. Seuss's birthday, I believe. Let's see here. I also had the chance to speak with some of our youth at City Hall through the Pro Youth and Family program. Linda, I did not bring slides and a PowerPoint like I hear you did the month before me. But I was scheduled for about 30 minutes, and we took about an hour, almost an hour and a half, I guess. The students were very engaged. It was a fun conversation, and it's a great program. I'm really, really excited that we've been able to bring that to City Hall for even during the pandemic for the last, 5 or 6 years to measure age. So thank you to our taxpayers and our voters for entrusting us with funds to have such exciting and cool programs like Pro Youth and Families. Summer at City Hall and Youth at City Hall and the whole program. And then finally, we had an Air District meeting. Not a ton to report. There were some new grants being awarded to school districts for clean buses or electric buses and EV programs, and some more updates around connectivity and charging programs throughout the region. So really exciting work going on there. And I know we brought this up on multiple occasions. I will say that I'm pretty sure if anyone is interested in getting a Purple Air monitor, if you don't, I think David and I are the only two that, David, you have one, right? Yeah. So if anybody else is interested in getting them, I would highly encourage you to do it. I know nowadays, if you're watching and even into this past summer, you'll notice, Garrett actually brought up about KCRA. You'll even notice a lot of the times now on the weather meteorologist reports that you see on KCRA and some of the other channels, they're actually using these Purple Airs to give you air quality monitoring, by the minute. So pretty cool stuff, and a lot of that came from grants either from the city and from the Air District, and they got additional funds to get even more of them into our residents' hands and homes. With that, that's my report, and I'll turn it over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very brief with my report. I just wanted to highlight the vaccination clinic that we held on January 26th in partnership with El Paso Heights Clinic. We had over 150 people, including many children who showed up here at the City Hall and were vaccinated. And the second dose of the next dose is scheduled for February 17th here at the City Halls. Just wanted to acknowledge that and thank many staff members who helped to put this together, and thank the El Paso Heights Clinic for partnering with us. On the same day, we also coordinated directly with the Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce, and we had distribution of PPEs, and on that day we were able to give out 14,000 face masks. These are N95 masks, 18,000 surgical masks, 1,000 bottles of sanitizers and drums and gallons for businesses, and 4,000 at-home COVID-19 test kits that the city purchased and was able to provide that to over 900 businesses and residents who participate in the program. So very successful event, and I want to thank my city team for putting this together and putting a great deal of effort into it. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Cyrus.
Moving on from that, we'll take the consent calendar. The consent calendar items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. Do you have anything that we need to pull from the calendar? Not hearing any. Do we have any comment on the calendar?
The city clerk's office has not received any public comment.
Okay, I have a motion by Budge. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sander. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati? Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Thank you.
She said yes.
Councilmember Gatewood?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Terry?
Aye. Calendar is adopted. Moving on to consent public hearing items. Consent public hearing items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. Do we have anything to pull on this calendar? Do we have any public comment on this calendar?
The city clerk's office has
Sorry,
not
no,
received.
Go ahead.
The city clerk's office has not received any public comment for the consent public hearing items.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Gatewood, second by Pulapati. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Councilmember Gatewood?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Terry?
Aye. All right, calendar is adopted. Moving on to public hearing items. Let's see here. We're going to start with, these notes are not great. We're going to start with item 11.1, a resolution approving residential solid waste rate adjustments for implementation of the state mandated residential food waste collection and recycling program. So with that, I think we're going to turn it over to Steve to start. Okay, Steve, you're in the room.
I am in the room. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Terry, members of the council. I'm Steve Harriman with the Department of Public Works. With me tonight on the call is Anna Rulon and Tony Perez from Republic Services and Carrie Baxter with R3 Consulting Group. They will be able to assist. By way of a quick review, SB 1383 requires local governments to implement a variety of programs and strategies to reduce the disposal of organic waste in landfills. And the primary objective of this law is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from landfills in an effort to mitigate climate change. When the program starts in July of 2022, residents will place organic materials like food waste and food soil paper products in the green waste container with yard clippings rather than in the garbage container. The item before council tonight is part of the Prop 218 process to approve adjustments to residential solid waste rates in the Republic Services contract to accommodate the organics collection and processing program. On November 1st of 2021, the council directed staff to proceed with a 21.5% rate adjustment to residential solid waste rates that would take effect on July 1 of 22. The proposed rate package also includes a fixed 3% rate adjustment on July 1 of 2023 and another 3% on July 1 of 2024. And the current contract with Republic Services expires on December 30th of 2024. These rate adjustments are necessary to fund new collection vehicles and drivers, additional processing costs for mixed organics, expanded customer service and outreach, and a kitchen pail that's going to be delivered to each household to help people collect their organics and then transfer it into their organics container. And just, you will recall that the organics container is going to be picked up every week rather than every other week, which is the current system, which is why there are additional trucks and drivers needed to implement the program. On December 15th of 2021, the city sent out a notice, which is included in your agenda package, to all service addresses and billing addresses in Rancho Cordova for residential solid waste customers. And the notice shows the proposed rate adjustments and also includes instructions on how to submit a formal written protest to the rate adjustment. Republic Services currently serves 19,578 residential accounts in Rancho Cordova. So in order for the protest to succeed, the city would need to receive 9,790 valid protests, which is basically 50% of the customers plus one. As of this morning, the city clerk had received approximately 500, just over 500, and the city clerk will announce the final tabulation of written protests received at the conclusion of tonight's public hearing. Just a reminder that written protests may be submitted up to the close of the public hearing. And also, speakers in opposition to the rate adjustment during the public hearing do not count as a protest in the Prop 218 process. Only valid written protests are counted in the Prop 218 process. If the protest is not successful, staff recommends that the council adopt the resolution, which does two things. It approves the proposed rate schedule and directs staff to return to council with an amendment to the Public Services contract to allow implementation of the organics program on July 1st of 2022. And that concludes my introduction.
Is that all of our staff presentation, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, we'll go on to public comment. I know we have a couple of people in the American River room, so we're going to start with them. What I'd ask is anybody else that's in Zoom, and again, if you're on the phone, you can hit *9 to raise your hand. Anyone else that's in Zoom, please raise your hand now. We're going to take one count of everybody, and then that's going to be the list that we're going to use for public comment. So there's not going to be another chance 30 minutes from now or 20 minutes from now to raise your hand again. So please raise your hand now. Stacy, let's go ahead and take the two commenters that we have in the other room, and then we'll go back to Zoom. And again, this is the time to raise your hand for this item. Go ahead.
Mayor Terry, I'm not sure that they want to make a public comment. I'm not in that room at this time. So if they do, Michael will let me know.
Okay. Do they have the ability to raise their hand in Zoom, or?
Yes, there is.
How are we doing this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's an ability to do so.
So
they're signed in the other, so they're in this Zoom. Okay.
Yes,
So
they are.
anybody that wants to raise their hand, please do so now. There will not be another chance to raise your hand other than right now.
So let me start with the public comment that we received via email. That was from Kathy Birch, that has been distributed to the city council related to this topic, and it will also be available on the city's website. So next, I'd like to go to Zoom and the telephone.
So, and just, I'm hang on, Stacey, just before we start calling on people. So I've got Ed Hughes, Helen, Amir, and Gary. Is there, I'm going to ask one more time for anybody that would like to raise their hand, please do so now. Okay, so we have 4 public commenters for this item. So we'll do 3 minutes for each commenter. And again, the order is going to be Ed Hughes, Helen, Amir, and then Gary. That will be all of our public comments for this item tonight. So Ed, go ahead, you can start. And Stacey, if you want to bring him in.
Ed just dropped his hand.
Okay.
Hold on, let me
pretty
hold on.
sure.
Wait.
We'll give him another.
He's back. Just a moment.
Okay. Let's make sure, Stacey, one commenter at a time. So I see Helen has already been moved to the presenter. Could we move her back into attendees? Okay.
Ed, if you can go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
I do apologize. I'm not the best with technology, especially with this new Zoom stuff. I'm far better at the bar over some drinks talking about these policies. So just real quick, hello, a little background. I'm a Guamanian and also a son of fighting veterans in the Air Force. I want to make that note. I was born and raised here, worked since I was 13, went to AR and worked the whole time to decrease loans for my 4-year degree, which I achieved in 3 years with a double major with honors at SJSU. Regardless, had to start at the bottom, working 2 jobs to start making ends meet, only to change careers 3 times. Now I'm a homeowner in Rancho looking to start my family with my amazing wife. Now some stats on California. We have the highest gas taxes in the nation, highest income tax in the nation, highest sales tax in the nation, second highest cost of living in the nation. All of these are regressive taxes measures that hit the middle class and the poor the hardest. There is an iron law of economics. If you want more of something, you subsidize it. If you want less of something, you tax it. The rich and the government class can afford these items. The taxation of the non-rich, non-government, working class is exactly why you're seeing a net migration from California the past 5 years. I love this state and this city, but I can no longer afford to live here unless I become a remote worker for a Silicon Valley corporation that has migrated away from the failing Bay Area. This measure is merely a straw, and many of our backs are beyond their limits. I understand I'm speaking to the wrong level on this, but if you have the ear of anyone at the Capitol, please relay the plea of your constituents. Do not implement another fee. Start pushing to decrease them, or me and my family will join the exodus. God bless.
Thank you, Ed. Helen will be our next commenter. Go ahead, Helen.
I'm here. I have several things. First off, I'm getting a little concerned because Mayor Terry, you keep limiting the number of people who can talk. And sometimes when an event takes place, it doesn't cause people to think of things until another presenter has made a comment. Okay, so that's that one. My question is, does that mean we get to put our green bins out every week?
Yes.
Okay, does it also, now I do have a question about this little bucket we're going to be paying for. Is the bucket the reason why it's costing more money? Because to me, that bucket's going to go to the wayside of those recycled green bins we used to have, where everybody used them for other things other than what they were for. And what about the areas? There are people that are concerned that there will be a increase in rat issues due to the cans. And, you know, what do we do for the week that, let's say I put 3 green cans out, I put my trash can out, I put my recycle bin out. What about the neighborhoods that can't handle all the bins out in 1 week? What are we doing to ensure that that is not going to be an issue? Because some of these streets are pretty narrow that I've been on. And I do agree with the prior presenter on this state is getting outrageously expensive. City of Rancho, Cordova is getting outrageously expensive. So when we start talking about low-income housing for this city, no one's going to be able to afford to move into this city that is low income because we are taxing them out of the ability to enjoy what Rancho Cordova offers to the people as far as recreational opportunities go. Thank you for this opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Helen. Next, we'll go to Amir.
Can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Yes, yes. I've been in Rancho Cordova for 35 years, and I've worked hard throughout my life here. And, you know, I've been lucky, me, my sister, and my wife, we own 19 houses that we rent out. And since the pandemic, it's been hard for my tenants to pay rent. Actually, one of them hasn't paid rent for a while now. And it's going to be hard for them if I increase the rent. And it's not fair to me to pay for their garbage, just letting them stay. So here is my 2 cents. You know, the taxes rising, the insurance going higher. So it's getting hard on people. So we don't want any more increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. We'll go to Gary next. We get Gary in. Okay, Gary, you're in the room, but you're muted. Okay, now you're unmuted. We still don't hear you though, Gary. Gary, are you there? And another few seconds here. Gary, can you hear us? You can go ahead and start talking. I think he put his hand back up again. Muted again. Gary, I see that you're unmuted again, but we still don't hear you. He's not typing in the, I don't even know if he can. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to hear from you tonight, Gary. Perhaps you might want to, I don't know, send an email. I guess we're probably going to be discussing this item right now. Gary, I guess we're going to have to move on if you can't get your mic to work.
You may want to mention that too.
What was that?
Mr. Mayor, we seem to have another hand up. It may be related to that. I wonder.
Is there another user? I think I saw somebody in the attendees with his hand up. Is that the same? Is that the same sign-in, Stacy?
It's a different name.
Yeah.
At this rate, Gary, we can't hear you at all. Considering we didn't get as many commenters as I think we were preparing for, which to answer Helen's point, the reason that we did it the way we did it was we were expecting a lot of commenters and we wanted to see if we needed to lower the time to allow everybody to speak. Since we didn't have as many commenters, I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and take Sonia on the off chance that one, she wants to make a comment, or that's Gary on another device by chance. Sonia, you're now in the room. Please unmute.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Sonia. So my main concern is homeless shelter. We have a lot of homeless people around Sacramento, Rancho Cordova, and prices are going higher. Rents are going higher. Taxes are going higher. Those people can't afford anything and they end up being homeless and they don't have place to settle. And I'm really concerned about that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think that's all the public comments that we have, colleagues. I know I have some questions. Does anybody else have questions for staff? I know we've talked about this once already.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, sir.
So this proposed rate increase, is that a blanket? Let's say it passes, it's blanket for all, or can any residents opt out, saying I don't want to put out any organic bins?
Yeah, no, it would be applied to all residential solid waste customers that are serviced under the Republic Services contract.
Okay, so nobody can opt out.
No.
Linda, did you mean to raise your hand?
Stacy, my hand is up and I can't get it to go down.
Oh.
I keep hitting the lower
I can put that
hand.
down for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we have the ability to put our hands down. I think I've tried that before too. I think only Stacy can do it as the administrator.
It's still up. Garrett's is up. David's is up.
Oh no, but they're proving that they can take them down too.
You know, we're just trying it out.
I just realized it. No, so yeah, that doesn't work.
Okay, so actually, Steve, it sounds like the part of the answer to Siri's question is the fact that this is a state law. And that's why it applies to everyone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a state law and it applies to everybody. And that's a question that we have heard over some time. And even just logistically and practically, it would be very difficult to, understand which cans out on the street were paying for the program and which weren't. But yeah, it is state law, and so it would apply to everybody that's serviced under that contract.
So, Steve, I had a couple of questions, because the last time we talked about this, I think we went a little more in depth. There were some slides and some other things, but under most scenarios, if you're able to, because of this, one, the green waste is coming every week now, so we're not talking about food waste sitting there for 2 weeks. I know there's been concern about it sitting in the sun and all kinds of other stuff, but it's coming every week. You should be able to put a large amount, well, for most people, a large amount of food waste. For those of us that do composting, I know I already have cut my waste down enough to go from the largest bin to the middle one. And if I was to take all of the food waste that can't go in my compost, I might be able to get my family of 4 into the smallest can, which would actually lower what I'm paying now, because the only thing I'm actually paying for is my garbage. And for those of you who aren't aware, you can have 4 bins in total. So you could have 2 recycling bins and a green, or 2 greens and a recycle, plus you're paying for your waste. But I know I have lowered my cost in the 9-10 years that I've lived in the city by going to a smaller bin, because I started composting and I started doing more recycling. So is that fairly accurate? I mean, yes, the fee is going up and we don't really have control over that because they're adding the cost to it. Even the small bin that everybody's going to be given, I have one of those already that I use for composting. This one will be for my food waste, which a lot of the things that you cook and you have leftovers, you can't put that in compost. But you'd be able to put it directly into your green bin. Is that fairly accurate, Steve?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Mayor Terry. And if most families use the recycling container to its full potential, and now the green waste container with yard clippings and food waste, many families, I think, can easily migrate down to the smallest container. And the rate that our customers pay is dependent upon the size of the garbage container only. And we offer 3 sizes, 32 gallon, 64 gallon, 96 gallon trash. At my home, we have a 32 gallon, and we of course use everything to its potential, and it works great. So there is actually an opportunity for customers who can do that, probably in the end, to save a little bit of money.
Yeah. I guess I would say too that I think I downsized right around the time we stopped having diapers in this house. So that could have been a big factor there as well. But still, I'm significantly lowering what goes into my garbage through composting, and if I could do that with food waste as well, I'm fairly confident I might be able to get myself to a smaller one. David, did you mean to raise your hand?
Okay. I did. Steve, I think, as Donald said, we had a more extensive presentation before. Really what this amounts to is a state mandate, trying to lower the amount of food waste in the waste stream. And we are just sort of caught in between. So just as in a brief way, can you give us, are there any alternatives to this particular course that ends up raising rates on folks and causing the sort of burdens we've heard about? Any other options out there other than what we're doing?
Yeah, certainly none that I'm aware of. The state law actually does require that there is collection, both actually for households and businesses and multifamily properties and schools. And it's basically requiring that every generator of organic waste have a collection system and a method to divert that material from landfill disposal. So we participate in a number of forums with other local governments, and I certainly haven't heard any other ideas that folks have to not be able to implement this. And it specifically requires that there is curbside collection of organics. It's included.
So it's everybody, not just us. We're not just raising rates because we can. There's no city profit in this. The state has mandated something, we're responding.
Absolutely correct, yeah.
There's basically no alternative. Are there any added costs to the system, like additional carts or replacement cart costs or anything like that that's also in here, besides in the collection?
Yeah, for the carts, that's sort of an ongoing expense because our carts are getting older and some of them are replaced, as an ongoing basis. But really the main drivers of this are we do need to add some trucks and some drivers because the green waste can is going to be picked up every week rather than every other week. And also the processing of the material. So we're now taking a mixed organic stream for processing, and that is more expensive. So those tend to be the drivers for the additional rates.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So, Mayor Terry, I'd first like to provide the tabulation for the protests.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we have to do the protest first. Go
And
ahead.
I'm not sure if you closed the public hearing.
I am now closing the public hearing. I don't have a gavel, sorry.
So the city clerk's office has tabulated the valid protests that we have received for the proposed solid waste rate increase. The city has received 544 valid protests.
And is somebody going to say that's not enough first?
Yeah, so as it states in the staff report, we would need 9,790 for valid protests to overturn the increase.
Okay.
So the council may now proceed with deliberation on whether or not to adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Or a motion.
Having said that, do we have a motion?
I will move that we approve the resolution approving residential solid waste rate adjustments to implement the state mandated residential food waste collection and recycling program.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Councilmember Pulapati. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Councilmember Gatewood?
This stinks. Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Terry?
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to regular calendar. Moving on to regular calendar items. I think we're going to move into closed session to discuss appointment of real property negotiators. And we'll come back out for a full adjournment. I will just point out that at this point, because I don't know how many members of the public are going to stick around for it, that tonight we're going to be adjourning in the memory of Officer Tyler Lanahan of the Oak Grove Police Department. This meeting is being recorded. Vidal Max Fortuna of the Stockton City Fire Department. But we'll come back to actually have a full adjournment, but I wanted to at least acknowledge that before the public.
Mayor Terry?
I will move that we approve the appointment of real property negotiators, Cyrus and Micah and Adam.
We're voting on that before we go on to closed session?
Yes.
Item 12.
Thanks. Okay.
Second.
I assumed that we were going to do that in closed session. All right. With that, I have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Gatewood?
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Terry?
Aye. So with that, just noting the adjournments, we will recess into closed session.